When people hear that I stopped working for a boss at 52, they often imagine a completely different life overnight. And that's not what this looked like. What actually changed was how my days felt, the pace, the pressure, the way my time was spent. So, in this video, I want to show you what my life actually looked like day to day after I stopped working for a boss. So, before my alarm went off at 5:30 every morning, still dark outside, I'd lie there for a few seconds, knowing I'd need to be out the door about 6:30 to make it in time for an 8 o'clock start. The drive was about an hour to an hour and a half, and it usually started the same way every day. Radio on, telling myself that today was going to be a good day. But the closer I got to work, the more anxious I felt. And within minutes of walking through the door, my heart would just sink. I loved the job. I just hated the toxic work environment, the sarcasm, the anger, the friction, the drama. Now I wake up when I want to. I still like getting up earlier and making the most of my day, but there's no rush attached to my mornings. I get up, make a cup of tea, and I already know what I'm doing that day. There's a very simple plan, and I don't feel behind before the day's even started. My commute is actually a 20-second walk across my garden to my office. There's no traffic, no clock watching, no one else setting the rules. Some days I work quickly, some days I take my time, and that choice alone changes everything. I'm relaxed. I've got my energy back, my humor's back, and what I'm doing now actually feels enjoyable. And there's one small, ordinary change that really sums this up for me: cooking a proper home cooked meal. I've always loved cooking, but before it felt rushed, it felt stressful. We'd eat late, we'd end up eating rubbish. I'd be tired. Even deciding what to cook felt exhausting. Now I cook most nights and I love it again. We eat the right time, the kitchen feels calm, and the conversations are full of humor. It sounds really small, but it's these small things that tell you that your life genuinely has changed for the better. The relief itself was pretty instant, that constant feeling in the pit of my stomach, the one that I'd carried for years. It lifted the day I fully retired from my job. That part was immediate. But what changed more slowly was how I used my time. And that took a bit of learning. I do remember that. Learning how to be in control of my time instead of just filling it up just to feel productive, learning how to focus on the few things that actually mattered instead of being busy with things that didn't matter. And the other big thing was learning how to walk away guilt free and trust that what I was building was working for me in the background, even when I wasn't there. Those things definitely didn't happen overnight. But what really surprised me was how freeing life felt. And I realized most of the doubts that I'd had never actually existed in reality. Before, being there for family meant asking permission, and quite often the answer was no. Now I can be there at the drop of a hat. I can visit my parents, I can help out. Just being present, being charge of my own schedule means I decide when I work. And I move things around if I want to work less or if I don't want to work at all on certain days. And when I'm not working, it is completely guilt free. It means I can be present with the people that I'm with. That belief that work only works if you're constantly there. That was my old employee mindset, that working a 9 to 5 mindset. This working for yourself with an online business is completely different in a good way. And the other part that took time was the identity shift. For a long time, my job was who I was: Anna, the dog handler, Anna, the police officer. That's how people saw me. And honestly, it's how I saw myself. Letting go of that was quite emotional and it wasn't instant. It felt a bit like taking off a heavy cloak that I've been wearing for years. At first, it was pretty uncomfortable and I was frightened to say that I wasn't that person anymore because it'd been such a big dream of mine and such a big part of who I was for so long. But that gradual change over time, I realized I wasn't losing myself. I was just becoming me again. I still love dogs. They're still a part of my life. But my work is no longer my identity. It's something that I do, not who I am. And that change feels much lighter than I ever expected. And the biggest thing that disappeared was anxiety. It used to be crippling. The stress, that feeling of dread. What came back instead was my confidence and a sense of purpose again. Anytime I ever doubted whether this would work, I'd ask myself, what's the alternative? And every time the answer was really clear. I could never go back to the way it was. So I'd knuckle down. I'd learn the skills. I'd ask myself, what are other people that are being successful at this? What are they doing that I'm not doing? And I would do that. So this didn't change my life overnight, but it has totally changed how my life feels now. And once you experience that shift, you really start to see what's possible. And the next video is really important because what's happening right now online has never been possible for people in their 50s before. The opportunities are real. They are opening up fast. And in the next video, I want to share how I'd approach this now, what I'd lean into, and what I'd completely ignore if I was starting again today. Because timing matters, and this is a very different time. So I'll see you in that next video.